antlers, assumptions, and artillery. So what was the worst one? Holly asked Bjorn before they start watching again. Worst what? The worst time in that hollow chamber? Holly asks and Bjorn laughs. Hands down the warlord scenario. It hit me like a truck and did donuts on my prone body, Bjorn says with a very rueful laugh. What happened? Holly asks in an amused tone. The premise was that the arcology was on its own and staring down an invading army. The enemy army gave us warning about the impending attack so we could evacuate civilians, so we did. But that was when they hit, when we were down to 3/4 strength against a full-strength opponent, one that matched us. I was on seek and destroy to take down targets of opportunity, but when I hit one, I got hit from the side by another equally dangerous target. So, they told you about the impending invasion to distract you? Basically, it was a brilliant move. The second we got that warning, we had to evacuate the civvies, and that was exactly what they were counting on. Brilliant. I'm scheduled to do it again from the other side in a week. And what are you doing then? I'm seeing how well I do when I have to take an arcology, because defending it got me bounced off the floor like a ball. So what kind of enemy was simulated? No simulation of that. It was another undaunted who got me. These practices are more tactical than anything. When it comes to sheer fighting, we've mostly got it settled, but we need to think better, more on the field and how to take advantage of things. I was shown that I need to pay attention more and move faster. Also, I need to remember my own weapons better. I had grenades, I had a sniper rifle. I got caught up when I was tackled and forgot to get distance and start spraying lead. Or pulled my shotgun and blew them away at close range. A mistake I won't make again, he promises. Well, it's good to know that Mr. Protector Man is getting bigger, stronger, and more dangerous all the time. But speaking of Misters and Misses, let's see what Miss Has a Dumb Daughter is doing. Vera notes even as Irma gets even more comfortable on Bjorn and drapes one pair of arms over his shoulders with a third arm going around his back and the last one grabbing the remote. Yes, let's, she says and turns on the recording once more. It shows Migala slowly making her way to her entrance point and then depositing the still sleeping girl in an air car. She sims driving away before meeting with an undaunted, some way away from the arcology. She swaps out her jacket for one provided, and then they swap vehicles and she flies back to the city. She has 3 more targets and the packages are both secure. Security level, aware, targets 3, enemy combatants 52, civilians 82 974, 403, neutral combatants 10 430 police officers, 938 private security, 527 common criminals. She goes to the top of the arcology instead of her safe house near the base and exits the vehicle. The hood of her jacket is disregarded and a beret-style hat is used to partially cover her brown hair as she makes no attempt to hide her prosthetic pincer this time. She walks with a sultry roll to her hips and a teasing smile on her lips. She's changed only her jacket and put on a hat, but she seems to have almost become someone else as she walks through over the landing area and into the arcology once again. She outright whistles to herself as she enters an elevator, and when she has the good luck to have it all to herself, she takes off the hat and adjusts it to let several strands of hair fall down over her face, changing her appearance even further. She taps her lips and they seem to flush with color before doing the same with her face, basically putting on makeup so she looks like she's as young and happy as the average civilian. She leaves the elevator out and then nearly trips over a mugging attempt. The muggers quickly find out that a robotic claw moving at the kinds of speeds where it blurs is in fact as dangerous, if not more so than weighted pipes, and the number of common criminals goes down to 525. She outright steals the coat off one of them and the bandana off another and stuffs them into extended pockets before frisking them both, then giving out disappointed clicks as she finds little. So she fades them into the floor and moves on. She starts window shopping on the way to the nearest target and even buys a snack from a local vendor to cover her face as she eats while walking. She counts the guards and then fakes a stumble before finding somewhere to sit to finish her meal. This puts her in the perfect position to watch things, and she clearly watches the guards and gets a feel for how they're moving around. However, during this, Their aware status means a patrol of them walk up to her. She's outnumbered 5-1 and in public. "Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm just about out if you want any. But if you want more, it's that way," she says in a higher-pitched voice as she swallows her second-to-last mouthful of her snack and then points down the way to where she got it. "Who are you?" "Aliz Mebenathion," she answers promptly. "What?" "Oh, it's translated from," Migala says before letting out a series of chiming clicks. "But most people can't say it right, so call me Mebenathion." "And what are you doing here?" the guard asks before Irma pauses the recording. "How advanced is this hologram?" "Not very, I think. Basically, it's running very basic questions, and so long as she avoids certain words, topics, or violent behavior, it will dismiss her as a threat and go back to patrolling." She's pretty much done the conversation. The guards are on aware, not alert, or hostile. "What's the difference?" Lils asks. "Well, unaware is a low chance of them spotting and trying to investigate her while going to aware. She got unlucky and that one spotted her fairly quick and went to aware. The odds of that were bad. Aware means the chance gets higher, but so long as she doesn't tip them to a higher level, she can talk her way out of things still. If they go to alert, then when they notice, they outright open fire, and after a bit call in backup unless she gets away. Then they search and then return to their posts if they can't find her. And at hostile, they detect very quickly, shoot immediately, chase far, call for help right away, and are willing to do a lot of damage to get her," Bjorn says. "I take it you had a fun encounter with this?" Holly asked. "Kidnapping scenario. I had to get a copy of you out safe and unhurt. The first time I wiped them out and walked out with you in my arms. Second time I did it stealthy and quiet. Third, I used bombs as a distraction and got you out in the mayhem. Fourth was last week and I played with Axiom a bit and then ran right in like a maniac and then teleported us both out before anyone could find out which way was up, let alone where to point the gun." "You what?" Holly asks in amusement. "I went through the walls like a steroid-abusing gorilla and then grabbed you before we both vanished like a dream that left a trail of destruction in its wake," he says, and there's a silence around the room. "Okay, funny, but why?" Lils asks. "The point of the exercise is to try and find new and innovative ways of doing things, so I'm not allowed to use the same tactics twice." "What do you have planned for next time?" Holly asks, amused. "I'm going to cut the floor out from underneath you and then carry you out," he says, and she giggles at the idea. "What's so funny?" "I was just imagining it like in those cartoons where it's a wood-cutting saw cutting a hole out of nowhere." She says if it's a really good cartoon, the entire arcology would fall away and leave just you sitting there. Bjorn jokes, and there's some laughter at that. "All right, any other questions? Or back to things?" Irma's response is to resume the recording. The questioning of Megala continues for a bit before the patrols go back to normal, and she promises to leave after finishing her snack. She then goes through the motions of just that and starts walking away, then goes into a nearby store. She browses for a bit, the whole time watching the patrol from the outside, even as she buys a little something, and then starts going right back to them. "What are you still doing around here? Do you want to be—" The guard begins to ask when Megalia puts a gift in her face. "You look like the kind of girl with a hell of a man. Could you get this to him? See if he thinks there's some more room for another?" She asks, and the guards pause. Whatever situation was expected, this was from so far out of left field, it was utterly baffling. "No, just go away," the guard says, and she pouts in response, only for the rifle to be pointed in her face. "But I just want to know if there's room in your husband's life for another woman," Megala protests in a voice that carries and draws everyone's attention. A huge crowd starts swarming, and the other guard patrols are looking around in surprise. "I just want some love in my life. Is that too much to ask?" "That's not what—" the guard begins, but Megala fakes some tears and then runs away weeping. "What are you all looking at? Clear out and get lost." The instant Megala is around the corner, she vanishes, turns around, and then quietly, invisibly, picks her way through the crowd and slips past the thoroughly distracted and definitely not paying attention guards to follow one of the patrols right into the secured area. After that, she more or less has the run of the building as she steals a key card right off a guard's chest and then moves past the last bit of security. She then tosses the card away before slipping through and then starts poking around until she finds her next target, a series of servers that contains some dangerous information. She quickly brings out a small bomb and then sets the timer. She walks through the building and stands right next to the door while waiting for the bomb to go off. And when it does, the guards come rushing back in to check what the hell is going on and leave the door open behind her. She slips through and is to the side once more as the next patrol comes in, and while everyone looks inward, she walks out and is on her way to the next objective. The next one, she doesn't even bother getting close to, even as security level goes to alert, and she outright avoids the entire floor the target is on. But she's on the floor directly beneath and phases into the wall before climbing up along the inside and then slowly, carefully maneuvering around the ceiling floor, and then finding where the next wall is to climb up to the next level, and then starting to cut some wires. She can't even leave these walls to just get her target. There is a thick tritite plating on the outside rather than a thin one inside the wall, and if she were to cut through them, she would be noticed in a hurry and everything would go to hell. So she's got a different plan, one that starts with cutting wires. She then moves around and cuts more wires before leaving that wall entirely to drop back down again as the entire bunker above her begins to go insane. She then leaves that area, finally goes to the level where her target is, and walks to a corner as she draws a large, undaunted gun and just waits. Then there's a flurry as her target is rushed out, and she takes her shot with the grenade launcher underslung to the undaunted rifle. And even as the target is reduced to bits, she falls through the floor. Security level. Hostile targets 1, enemy combatants 46 civilians, 82,974, 402. Neutral combatants 10,430 police officers, 938 private security, 525 common criminals. She stows the weapon and then considers where she is before dropping another level. The last target is near the center of the arcology, so she has a bit to go. Ashina is just staring at the video now and outright jumps a little as her mother pauses it. She turns back to her mother before turning back to the screen, then to her, and she points at the screen. What the hell? If you have a fun toy, use it. I'm not going to apologize to anyone for doing a good job, even if I did end up killing a few civilians by the end, so it's not a perfect score. A few? Wait, the numbers just say 1, Ashina says, and there is still the last target, Megala says. If nothing else, it felt good to be back to hunting down a punk and blowing them to hell, even if it was just a simulation.